the department recently elected to allow Title X grants to flow to abortion providers for another year. Let me contextualize this and give you an example from my state as to why this concerns me. You're going to see, I think, over my shoulder here, a poster from an actual provider, abortion provider in the state of Missouri. This is an entity called Beacon Health Reproductive Network. They just received about $8 million from a Title X grant. Now, Beacon Health, as you can see here, they do more than just refer for abortions. They also proclaim their support for all bodies. They provide gender-affirming care, including to young people, that's gender transition surgeries. These folks now, who, by the way, went to my state legislature and tried to prevent the legislature from writing in the difference between male and female, defining that in state law. They opposed our ban in the state of Missouri on transgender surgeries for minors. So that's the kind of folks here. They're getting now $8 million in taxpayer funding from the Title X program because of the department's decision. When can you tell me, when are we going to stop funding people like this? I don't think that this kind of entity ought to be getting federal tax money.
I agree with you, Senator. And, we paused those grants. These are 5-year grants. We paused them. There's a year left on them. And we looked at the litigation risk, and OGC advised us that it was very, very high. And so we're paying them out the last year. We're monitoring for high amendment compliance. We've just released NOFOs today that I think that are very aligned with your thinking, and I think you'll be very happy with.
What about the Protect Life rule, Mr. Secretary, writing that back into regulations that would prevent going forward, any federal tax dollars from flowing to an abortion provider or an abortion referrer? I mean, are you still pursuing that?
You mean outside of the Hyde Amendment's reach?
Yes, yeah. But for instance,
I'm happy to work with you on that.
Okay, good. I think that's important. I think that we should not be funding entities like this. And, personally, I think a litigation risk, I'd rather take the risk in litigation than subject children in my state to transgender care funded by federal taxpayer dollars. So I appreciate you working on this.
I think if you look at the new NOFOs, you'll be very happy.
Good.
What we just saw, we see a critical discussion regarding the allocation of federal taxpayer fund toward organizations that provide abortions and gender transition surgeries. I strongly welcome this initiative to restore common sense and preserve biological reality in our legal and social framework. It's deeply concerning that millions in Title X grants are flowing to entities that not only perform abortion, but also actively work to erase the legal definition of male and female. We must prioritize protecting the unborn child and hold our institutions responsible for their safety. The sanctity of life is a paramount, and abortion should never be subsidized convenience. It should only ever be an option in extreme cases where it is direct choice between life and death of a mother. Right? Abortion, there must be a limitation for abortion. We can't just let people abort unborn child. They have lives. Right? Furthermore, we must also address the growing issue of biological spaces. Protecting gender correctness means acknowledging the inherent difference between the sexes and ensuring that biological women's spaces, from sports to facilities, are not invaded. It is refreshing to see push toward protect the life rule, which aims to ensure that federal dollars are used to support life rather than dismantle biological truth and safety of women and children. I really like Josh Hawley. I'm not surprised that he is very conservative because, as we all know, Missouri is a very conservative state. And here in Hawaii, there are so many woke here. So many. And I can't even understand. But what are your thoughts about this issue? I want to hear it from you. Don't forget to drop your thoughts below in the comment section. We'll discuss it there. And don't forget to like and subscribe this video. I'm out. Peace.